Hello, this is Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. I'm very honored to be in the presence of a great leader here in the great community of Flint. I was fortunate enough to be able to be received at the Flint Community Development Center by Mr. Michael Harris, and I just really want to take some time to acknowledge you and thank you for your commitment to the community, and also let people know what's going on the ground right now, presently, 2018, in the great city of Flint.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Brother Lindsay. Here in the city of Flint, we have lots of issues, but we're solving them one problem at a time. And the Flint Development Center is a place where we can solve issues. This is a place for kids to come, work together, fellowship, and have a safe place for our young people in this community. And not just for young people. This is truly a community center. Sure. And we've been working hard to make sure it's a jewel.
We talked a little bit off camera. Can you tell people about the origin of the Flint Community Center, how it came about, and what things had to go into place to be here?
Yep. So in 2013, we had this vision, myself, Pastor Smith, Shelley Sparks, the members of Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church, of taking this wonderful building that was right down the street from the church and turning it into a community center. We had kicked around lots of ideas about a church and other things, but we brainstormed and we figured out a way to make this happen. So one of the pieces was to make sure we had a community center, a business district, and a learning center inside of this facility.
All inside.
All inside. Because so once we worked around, talked to the Flint School Board, bought the building from the Flint School Board. That was a challenge, and we got the building from the Flint Community School Board. Worked diligently to get it from them. It cost a pretty penny, but we got it. The building was abandoned, beat up, vandalized, and we got the money together. We beat on every door you could imagine, and got the money together to renovate it. So it cost probably around $300,000 or $400,000 just to fix boilers and things like that.
So there was no handout here.
No. We worked, like I said, Michael was telling you before, but to reiterate, the mission of the church, and people talk about the black church all the time, but the mission of the church is about community. It starts there. So, I want to give kudos and thanks to the members of Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church because they believed in us when nobody else would. And if you talk about black churches, but so many times in our history, that's been our savior. But anyway, so membership of the church got together, backed us, worked with us, cried with us, and prayed with us, and we were able to come up with funding, monies to buy the building, to get together with it, and look for funding sources. Wow. So in the beginning, we talked about what would work. And we beat on lots of doors to get that funding, and nobody saw the vision.
Nobody saw the vision.
No. They were like, "Oh yeah, well, what's your sustainability model? We don't see that happening." But we knew it would work. So we did everything by taking out loans. Chemical Bank and others came in with us, provided us with some funding money, seed money, and then a wonderful organization called the Root My Foundation came in. And once they came in, we worked their board members left and right and begged and pleaded and came to them 20 different ways. And they opened up the floodgates to help us out.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
So America's most talked about city, if the world's most talked about city, we can call Flint. We were really working on language earlier, and I said, talk about the crisis. You said, no, it's not. It's not a crisis. It's a tragedy.
It's a
tragedy. Want to talk more about that to let people know what's happening?
And you may ruffle some feathers, but I'm not worried about that. I think we're Flint. We're a tough city. We're a proud city, but we are American. It's an American city, and so it's an American tragedy. And I think we're not some other place way out in the hinterlands, some place that people don't know anything about. We are a part of America. At one point in time, the city of Flint had the highest per capita income in the nation.
Wow.
And so,
not too long ago.
Not too long in many people's lifetimes. So what you look at now is that people try to use politics about that. You're either on this side of the Flint water issue or you're on the other side. But there's only one side. There's an American side. And it's an American tragedy. And some people who live here may not say that it's a tragedy, but I'm a Flintstone to the core, and I'm telling you it's a tragedy.
That's right.
Right.
We talked a moment, and I was saying, that seems like that can really tug on someone's emotional heartstrings, and you clarified that again, which I appreciate. Yeah. You said it's not about it being emotional because it's about prevention and practicality for what the future may hold in any other city.
Yeah, I mean, if it takes a tragedy or whatever, if your emotions are tied up in it, that's one thing, and that's great. We understand the emotional aspects of it, but whether it happens to you or not, it's happening to people who are Americans, people who look like you, people who live like you, people who have the same dreams that you have. And it shouldn't take a pull on emotional strings to make sure the right thing is done by the city.
Right. Well, coming in, I could not start a conversation without addressing, what we all know is the elephant in the room. My work with Sports Psychology Solutions, a nonprofit, and doing the sports psychology consulting. Want to come in just like I'm going to every major city in the state of Michigan, was just in the Upper Peninsula, just in my hometown, Detroit, would be on the west side of the state. But we're still trying to kind of have to work to help our young people despite these other big issues. And you talked about earlier your commitment to your basketball program, and we're going to be speaking with some of your athletes a little later. Talk about how important it is to still be able to work on the basic core things that young people need despite this American tragedy has happened right in front of us.
Yeah, I think through it all, kids need to be able to understand about being a kid, right? And so, no matter where you are, no matter what your lot in life, what your situation is, you want to make sure every child has some type of childhood. But through all of that, you want to teach learning. You want to teach them principles that they can carry through life, right? And sports has helped me tremendously. I know what it's done for other people that are my friends. And so, I've seen that model work. And I want to be able to give back to individuals and kids through that process. I think what happens with sports sometimes is you learn leadership. Right. You learn how to deal with tough situations, how to pull what's inside of you out.
Coach, get it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, get it out one way or another. And you learn about those things, which is what team sports is about. And you can take those lessons and transfer them to other parts of your life.
Sure. I have a question. Just like you come in contact with a very diverse group of people, so do I, fortunately. Right. What do you tell someone who may encounter one of our post-tragedy Flint young people, and they want to be supportive, they want to be helpful. However, I'm also careful that people aren't being crutch builders and overly emphasizing one thing as opposed to another. What do you say to someone who may come in contact with a Flint youth, and what do you think is the best way they can support them and help them?
Well, I mean, listen, in anything, it doesn't help to acknowledge someone overcoming a tragedy, right? So you meet anybody from Flint, we're people just like you are. We're not from some alien planet. Sure. And hey, listen, I acknowledge what happens. How can I help? What can we do? And here's my expertise. And people, we need that here. There's expertise. I'm involved in the environmental movement because of this tragedy, right? So I go to these conventions, and you would not believe the experts in the room. Just incredible people who could solve everything from infrastructure issues, involved in environmental issues, and people who are psychologists like yourself. Sure. And you bring that together to make this wonderful thing that helps everybody.
Right. Yeah. You made a good point when you said asking a question, what can I do, instead of assuming they know what you may need. And can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, once again, everybody brings an expertise. And whatever you bring to the table is needed. It's wanted. I think, sometimes we try to make this thing some kabuki theater. It's really quite simple. We need infrastructure. We need help with food. We need help with shelter, psychological help. All those things are needed to make anybody a great human being.
Sure.
It's the village.
No matter what community you're in.
It's a village principle. And those things have been undermined and in short supply in our community. So what do we do at that point? So what needs to be done, if you have an expertise, come here or help someone to be here and ask them how that expertise can be applied to what we need here.
So reach out, and the one place they can come to is here, the Flint Community Development Center. Well, I want to thank you for all that you're doing, all that you're going to do. Thank you for receiving me to be
Appreciate
able to
you.
come in and be a resource. And is there anything else you want to share to the audience that can be helpful for them going forward that they can take from experiences that you're having now?
Yeah. And I've said this before. We're a tough city. We understand tragedies, and they'll happen. But America has an opportunity right now to make Flint the model, the template for how to do things correctly. How to take a problem and turn it into something wonderful.
Because it's not to say that this issue can't happen somewhere else.
Absolutely. And then if we do it right here, we can do it anywhere else in the world.
We do it here, we can do anything.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to working with our young people and being a resource. And the Flint Community Center is here to get your support. So reach out. And Mr. Michael Harris, thank you for all the great things you're doing.
Thank you, bro.
All right?
All right.
For sure.
Thank you.
We did it.
All right.